So I had a fella contact me, and he had seen some of my SketchUp videos, and he wanted me to draw up this and do a model for a shed that's similar to this one. And I have some ideas, I think, to improve on this. I mean, somebody did a pretty decent job with this, but I just think we can do better. It's a little bit hokey up here at the top, and the roof doesn't hang over very far. I think there's some ways that we can improve on this design and help Clint out. And so this is a little paid project, which is nice. I mean, sometimes I don't say that in my videos. A lot of the projects that I do are paid, like the big house in Texas and other projects like that. I mean, that obviously those are excuse me, more complicated. I've got 300 hours in that project, so hopefully this won't take as long. But I've got I'm just kidding. I've got some parts here from another shed, and this will just keep me from having to draw studs and floor joists. Although I do think I'm going to convert. Let's see, I have a color I like to use. Let's see here. It's green. Yeah. I forgot I had made those components. I like this green color to indicate treated lumber. So we'll leave that like that, and we'll make these studs a little bit lighter. Let's see here. Just to update this a little bit. Edit. Yeah, that looks more like it. There we go. So Clint wants a 10 by 12 building for an outbuilding for an office, and which I think is cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show this a couple of ways. I'm going to show it one way where we use where we make it exactly 10 by 12. What is this? Yeah, I've got this exactly 12 feet, but if this is going to be an office, there's one way to do it where you make the most out of your joist. If it was my shed, what I would do is make it 10 feet. I would make full, how am I going to say this? I would make full use of the length of the joist, okay? So I would go ahead and, because framing lumber comes like 10 foot, 3/4 of an inch, 10 foot one. Heck, I've even seen them 10 foot 1.5, depending on where you buy them. So you're going to have to cut them off anyway. You can't just buy dimension lumber and just throw it, use it. There's always going to be something about it that you have to cut. And so I'm going to make this a joist. So I'm going to make this a component so that if I have to edit the joist, they will all change. And so you'll see what I mean in a second. What I'm going to do here is get myself another one going here and turn it. That way. And then we're going to make this, the thing about it is though, we are going to make it 12 feet this way. And I'll show you why that makes sense in a minute. In other words, the material, you want to pay attention to your material lengths. First, I'm going to make this a unique, so I don't change my joist length. And then I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to bring this over to there. Okay, so that is going to be 12 feet. Okay, I'm not going to make it longer in that direction. I'm just going to suggest to get that, because honestly 10 feet is a good dimension. 10 feet inside is a good dimension for an office, and I'll show you how we can get close to that by just simply doubling this, and this will actually help you in the long run. You'll see what I'm getting at here in just a second. So I'm going to guess that we have about 10 of these. 16 times 10. Oh, that was close. And then I think I have to move that back 3/4. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so where was I? This is actually the next day. I know I got a phone call and had to leave, but since then I've talked to Clint, and he was telling me that he is working off of an existing slab, so I got to keep this thing to 10 by 12 instead of trying to maximize the floor joist. So I think where I was trying to make sure this is on 16-inch center. So what you want to do is be able to come over here at 8 feet, and make sure you're 8 feet to the center. See, I'm gonna snap it to the center. So your first joist would be 15 1/4 from the end. Okay, so when you're laying that out, just make sure your mark is 15 1/4, and then what you do is you just take and put yourself a little X. I'm trying to draw an X with that not that one. I need to figure out a better way to show that, but set ahead. We call it, we'd say 15 1/4 set ahead. So you'd have all these marks, and with X's showing you which side of the mark that they went on. So I'll delete that. But the thing is, I was trying to maximize the space inside, but now I know that he's got a slab existing that an old shed was on. Then I know these have to be back 3 inches. So thankfully I had made my joist components so I can just take, and they'll all move back 3. And that's a neat little trick you need to remember in SketchUp, is to create something that might have to change, and you have multiple items of that item. Just create a component so that if you ever have to change it, they all change at the same time. Now what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to actually explode this whole thing, because I need to get me some, let's put me a line at 5 feet, a construction line there, and I'm going to go over here and get me some of this bridging, and I think I started this layout from here. We'll find out. And so what this bridging is going to do is just stiffen the floor up. There you go. And the reason you offset it, oh, that wasn't the short end, was it? Oh well, no big deal. Yeah, I figured I had a few extras. But what this bridging is going to do is stiffen up the floor a lot. And the reason you offset it so that you can face nail it. You can face nail it there, then you can face nail it there. If you line them all up, you're going to have to toe nail them all, and that's kind of a pain. So that's a little trick. These aren't good. I just made this bridging, this blocking groups instead of components, so that way they wouldn't all change length when I just try to change the end one. And again, you will have a smaller space between. You should have 14.5 inches between each joist if they're on 16-inch centers. Yeah, 12 at 1 foot 2.5. But the first one will be 3/4 inch less. But I'll show you why you do that in just a second here. So we got our, let's put this in the floor framing layer. We'll make a group out of this, and then we'll go up to our entity info, put it in our floor framing layer. Now if we need to turn that off, and for setting up views, which I'm going to do, that'll make it handy. As a matter of fact, I need to turn on the floor decking, because I'm going to rob that too. I wonder which end did I start from. Looks like I started, let's see, did I make it a group? Yeah, that's good. Aren't I smart? So that way I can just select it and copy the whole thing, and I can check to see which end. If this is a 4-foot piece, yep, that means I started from there, and I can just lay this down. Now I use Advantech, and it's basically 3/4 of an inch. And you can see here, this is 12 feet long, so you have an 8-foot piece and a 4-foot piece. And so we're gonna go in here and edit this group and get rid of that one, that one, that one. And then this one will have to be, well, I guess if I was smart, I would just copy this one over there, wouldn't I? So that makes this easy. Now this other row is going to have to be cut off 2 feet, because this was a 12 foot. That other shed was 12 feet wide. So we basically cut that off. Oops. Grab the end of it with my push-pull tool, and voila. We don't need those axes on there yet. So there's your subfloor. Advantech is a tongue and groove product, subfloor, and what you do is you just glue it down and screw it down. That's the best way to do it. And it looks like I'm missing a, oh, you know what I did? That's funny. Because I had copied these joists over, I made these joists shorter. That's funny. Sorry, 12-foot shed. Well, I'm going to delete all this when I get close enough here. So what I was saying was, you can either start from the front or the back. It doesn't matter. But there's your 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, because this one's 2 feet wide. So you'll be able to get 2 pieces out of this 8-foot piece. So you really only need 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of Advantech. I don't know, in Tennessee it's probably $30 a sheet, but it's well worth it because it's very strong. And if you glue it down, this will be a very strong floor, just like a house, basically. 2x8s will span 10 foot easy on 16-inch centers with the bridging and this Advantech glued and screwed, and no big deal. So now we get into the crux. Well, let's just do it. Let's just do it piece by piece, and you'll see it better. I was going to cheat and copy a bunch of stuff, but we'll do it this way, make it easier. Okay, so I'm going to set this plate back a 1/2 inch all the way around. What you'll do is you'll pull your tape back from the edge and mark it 4 inches. Okay. And that'll allow your OSB, your wall sheeting, to be flush with your 10-foot plane. Okay, so what I'm going to do down here is go back and take this back, flush, and then I'm going to push it back a 1/2 inch. We're going to do this as if we were building this, okay? So I'm going to stand this up like that, okay, and then I would have 2 of those. So that's what you would do, is you'd cut your top plate and your bottom plate, and then you would lay them out. What I want to recommend is that we use on the front 104 5/8 studs, and what that's going to do is give us a 9-foot wall on the front. So I'm actually just going to copy this, spin it around since I don't have a 9-foot stud yet. Okay, and then I'm going to make this a component. I wonder if that's not a component. Was that a component? No. But my studs are going to be components because Clint may say, I'm going to make this a component. He may say, I don't want that. So if this way I can just change the length of the stud. Now, I'm going to push this back down here for a second. And then I'm going to pull a line off here. 9-foot studs are 104 and 5/8. Okay, because that gives you on a 9-foot wall 9 foot 1 1/8. Let's see, where's my push pull? And what that does is give you room for your finished floor and your drywall, your ceiling, and all that stuff. So that's your stud, and let's just put them on 16. Let's go 15 1/4, and then we'll go 16 inches. And we'll just put eight of them in there. See how many that gets us. I was close. That one would have to come back to the end. And then this should be 15 1/4. Yep. So the reason for that again is when you start laying your OSB out here, you'll come to this stud and you'll have exactly 4 feet to the center. Okay. If you didn't make that first one 15 1/4, it wouldn't be to the center of that stud. Make it easy on yourself. Now this is how you would just, if this was just a plain old wall. Okay. The other thing you'll notice is that this wall framing is going to be stacked over your joist. Okay, you want all your structural members to be stacked on top of each other. Of course, it's just laying on the floor right now. You're going to stand it up in a minute after you get the wall built. So what I'm going to do is take this bottom plate, and this is what you would do. Oops, why am I copying it? Because I literally would just take it once I got the wall laid out, and I'll put that up there, and then I would nail all this together, right? But we got to put our windows in right quick, and this is what I'm going to suggest is that, because I know this is 4 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet. I'm going to take these two out of each one, and we're going to create 3 bays just like that. Okay, and then we're going to figure out what we need to do as far as headers. Up here, what did I use on this? 2x10. Yep. Let's just do that. Let's make a few assumptions. Normally I would use a 2x10, but I'm trying to. This is a shed, so what I'm trying to do is keep this glass up as far as I can to the roof. Yeah, 3 foot 9, 11/16. We should have 3 equal bays here. And so you can kind of forget about your 16 inches on center for now. Let's see, if I was smart, I would have made those headers components, and I would have been able just to. But no biggie, I can fix it real quick and then copy them, because this is a little bit different than your typical wall construction. When you're trying to do sort of architecture and construction together, this is the kind of thing you get into. Let's look at see where our 7-foot mark is going to be, which is typically the top of your doors and windows. Okay, not bad, not bad. So I think if we use LVLs here, which are not that expensive, they're a little more expensive, and I'll show you what they are. Laminated veneer lumber. It's basically more of a structural than dimension lumber, but I promise you, what I'm trying to do is minimize this header up here so that we can go and do them again right here. And I know what you're going to say, that seems like an overkill. Well, let's see. First we need to put our jacks in on these. Okay, so the jack is going to be the piece on either side that holds this header up. Okay. And I think I made this a component, didn't I? Yeah. So I need to make this a unique component. Okay. So now I'll have all my jacks as their own component. See? And we're designing on the fly. This is the way I love to do it. This is the way for houses for myself, this is how I do it. I sit down and dream up stuff. When God gives you abilities, you use them to the best of your ability. So there we go. Now here's where it gets interesting. So now we're going to take those headers and we're going to bring them down here. Now, yes, I wish I had, well, I'm just going to bring one of them down. Oops. Because I'm going to have to edit. That now comes down, let's see. Let's actually make it 6 foot 10 and a half. 6 foot 10 and 1/2. Yeah, and the reason I'm saying that is because that's actually the top of your door framing. Okay, so what we're going to do, so this will match the top of your door framing. Okay, and it'll go right there, and that will give you, and this is what I was trying to do, is maximize. That gives you 12-inch glass right there. It says 12 5/8, but you can pretty much you could get by with making it 12 if you wanted to, or 12 1/4, whatever. No biggie. And so, if I think I can, I keep looking at my phone, the calculator's distracting me. Am I still recording? Yep. I have to check my open broadcaster sometimes. So I'm going to take this. Did I not double click on that? I'm just going to delete this one. It's going to be easier to copy this down. What would that be? 2.5 inches. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Now, I know what you're thinking, but be patient. All will be known, and you will be so happy with this design, I promise. You see, paying attention to your framing techniques are what's gonna, now that's gonna be wide, and I don't think he wants the windows that wide. So what we were gonna do is look at, wish I could turn my webcam and mount it to my top of my laptop, but I was gonna take some pictures of, oops, missed. I was going to put this in the center. What does that say? 1'9" and 5/16. 1'9". We're good. We got everything going good. So now let's go check something. I think the rough opening is a 1/2 inch bigger than the size. So if we look here, well, that's tiny, tiny. Rough opening, yeah, 14, yeah, that's 12.5. Well, let's see, we better pick out one. Let's see, 28 by 28, 2'4". So I think what I'm going to do is just go for this goal. I'm going to make this 16. I think I'm just going to suggest 32-inch square windows. Okay, so then we would come down 32, and on these vinyl windows, you can make them the brand I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure you can make the rough opening the size, the call size. Excuse me. And the window is a little undersized appropriately. I think a 1/2 inch. So we'll start off with this, but I'm going to research actual windows for Clint, and then we can go from there. Let's see. So first we would need to move over. We're going to need another jack that comes down here, and we're just going to, let's see, put the bottom where it goes. Let's see, that would go, oops, that would go right there. And we want to double these, so let me double it in a second once I make this a component, or make it unique. It's already a component, so now when I change its length, it won't change all the other ones. And I'm just going to double. Now, this may seem like an overkill, but you really want a double, and there should be enough room between here to still put like receptacles and stuff. Yeah. This may seem like an overkill, but this is just the front wall, so we need to remain calm, and it'll be okay. Everything's going to be all right. So then now I want to put myself a 2x4 here, just the bottom. Excuse me. Never fails when I try to do a video. I always get a frog in my throat. It never fails. But I think this is going to be cool. Okay. And again, it may it may seem like an overkill. Let me get rid of some of these construction lines. They get annoying after a while. But it's just sometimes, this is what you get when you design something cool. Sometimes it seems that way, like this unique. Here, I'll just show you right quick. I know you get the concept, but let's see, if I were just to change this one, the other one would change too. See, all four of those are changing like that. That's the kind of the point. So did I make this unique already? Yeah. So now I can, but this will make it easier when Clint comes back and says, have you lost your mind? I can just change, if I have to change the window height or something, it'll be easy because all my jacks will change all my cripples will change. And so now we have a 32-inch square window with these windows, this kind of clear story type window up here. And now let's go back to our layout and see where we need studs. And let me put these in first, since I know all these are the same. Wait, the whole thing. Yep. Let's make sure it's in the center. Like that. Now, let's take and go, see where 15 1/4 is. Right there. So now we can just copy this little bugger over, because he's going to be and so then I know I'm going to have one 16, 32, 48. Oops, that didn't work. How far is this? I was thinking that was more than 32 inches. Oh, so I can go 32. There we go. So what I'm doing now is I'm just putting my studs on 16-inch centers, so that when you do start the plywood layout, and I think I can go just 32 inches more, right? Because remember, if we remember, if we had just laid this out on the bottom plate, we would. How far is this? Yeah, 30. I thought I said 32. Yeah, and then 16. There we go. And that is our wall framing for the front wall. That's what I'm suggesting anyway. Okay. So now you built that. Yes, you did build it. I better not get political here. I better be careful. And now that we have, the next thing you want to do is, since we have a sloped wall, let's see, how are we going to tie that in? I think it's going to be okay. We could just double. Normally at the corner, you would come down here, and believe it or not, I have a video just for this. As a matter of fact, this may be why I did this shed, was just to show how you cut the top plate back and you overlap the top plates like that, so it ties the wall together. But in this case, this wall is going to be tall. I got it turned around, don't I? No, what am I doing? That is the top. Gotta get oriented here. So in this case, we're going to be fine. We're just going to double where we would normally double this top plate and then cut this back 3.5 inches. I think we're just going to leave it for there. Leave it for there. Leave it there for right now. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get our brothers and sisters out here, and we're going to take and we're going to raise this wall up. And I don't know how I lost my 1/2 inch. But then remember, we're going to pop our line right there, and we're going to leave this wall sitting back 1/2 inch, so our OSB, well, we call it 1/2 inch, it's 7/16. But funny enough, by the time that OSB gets just a little bit damp, it'll swell up to 1/2 inch. Trust me. You leave it out in the rain too long, and it'll be 3/4 of an inch after about a year. But so there you go. That's your first. That's what I'm suggesting as the front wall. Had another phone call, got distracted, and I was just I was thinking about how to kind of decide how to take care of this end wall thing here, and I'll just show you what I came up with here in a second. Something really simple, no big deal. So this back wall basically is just gonna, and you'll do the same thing. You'll build this laying down, and you'll have a corner on each end. I'm just gonna pull this over here and line it up with, let's see, but I'm gonna set it back a 1/2 inch like that, and I'm gonna run our plates back. Take the saw and cut them off right there. And again, I'm just going to run these plates flush with the corner. In a normal situation, again, you'd let this let this top plate lap back 3.5, but this is a different condition. We're going to have a shed roof here, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So we got 1, 2, 3. Let's copy 3 of these studs and see if that gets us to the end or close to it. Yep. So that's how simple the back wall. Oh, by the way, 8-foot studs are 92 5/8. Okay. Okay, that gives you a wall of 8'1" and an 1/8. Oops. See. And again, that's to give you room to have like a 3/4 inch finished floor, 3/4 of that, and then a 1/2 inch of drywall on the ceiling. But we're going to do a sloped, we're going to do a shed roof. So we don't have to worry about the ceiling. Let's go ahead and take 3 pieces of OSB over there. Just since it's going to be simple to do. 90, turn it around. Well, it's 90. Just type it in, Tony. Oops. There we go. That was weird. Delayed reaction. So there's we got lucky there. 3 pieces. And of course, you see here, you can tell your wall is taller than your OSB, but it's okay because you see how all that work is working out like that, working out good. So there's your back wall, real simple and easy. So now what I would do next is I would just brace off these walls. We're going to add a block right here, and I'll show you why in a minute. I'll make this unique. So my little blocks will be unique, and put it right there. Because our other wall coming this way is 3.5 inches thick, we need at least 3 2x4s there, and I'll show you why again in a minute. And so I'm going to copy these. Put one there. Now I'm going to show an alternate way to do this. This is just the first, on this front wall, this is just the first option, okay? I'm going to show an alternate method on this, but for now, that's the way that method would work. So now what I would do is I would brace these walls off, and no, I'm not going to build the end walls, and I'll show you why. Because I'm going to take, and on these low sloped roofs, you can get by with what I'm going to show you right here. We are going to use a 2x8 7.25 for a rafter, and that is so that he can get a decent amount of Oops. We're just going to run this over here for now. And I was going to suggest, really, I was actually going to suggest a 2-foot overhang, but that might be a bit much on this, so we'll change it if he wants to. Let's see how long our rafter would be. There we go. We'll just try to get this to where you can see what I'm doing. Now I know what the purists are going to say. Why didn't you cut a bird's mouth? I'll show you why. Just be patient. I would like to extend this out. Okay, get on my green axis. There we go. More than 16 inches. Let's go 24 on this one. No, that does look too far, doesn't it? Let's just go 16, and we'll see how it looks. And you can see that line is a maroon color, and that's how kind of cool SketchUp is in inferring the continuation of that line. And I think that's going to be a nice scale. So we'll just leave it like that. And let's see how long the rafter would be if we measured from here to there. 12'8". So you see, let's see, this is where you want to start considering your customer, because now I'm forcing him to buy a 14-foot 2x8, and if I'm going to do that, then maybe I add a little bit. That would make his overhang weird though, wouldn't it? Then you wouldn't be able to use 16-inch stuff. But I don't want to make this 6 inches less. So we'll just have to figure out what to do with those blocks. Well, let's continue on for now. So I made that 1.5 inches thick. What I'm going to do is try to grab that and make a component out of it. Make sure I didn't grab anything else. Make a component, and that way, and see, that is the smartest thing to do, because now if Clint says, no, I don't like that, especially on the rafters, I can change it. And again, I should have started from the other end, but this is the layout so close here. I'm just gonna grab this point right here and make it line up with that stud. Then I'm going to copy myself, what was it, 8 or 6? Had to be at least 6. 8, I mean. There we go. Oh, perfect. Almost perfect. And of course, this one will come back flush with the end. We'll snap to that point. And I think I'm just going to leave these. What I normally do is, if I'm not sure about something, I'll just leave it like just a white, and that'll remind me to look at it. We're just going to copy another one of these at 16. Find myself a reference point here on each end. 16 inches, and then we'll see kind of how that looks. Mainly what I'm trying to do now is get to where I can frame my sidewalls. I can leave those off until I get my sidewalls done. But now what I'm going to do is take a plate, and now you will see in just a second. Oh, by the way, the reason you can get by with this without a bird's mouth, you can put one if you want to, but on this low pitch, you can just take the rafter ties and you can get by with this on this low pitch. You don't really have to have a bird's mouth. I mean, I've built houses like this, okay? You can take the rafter ties and strap them on and screw them in, and it'll pass code on this low of a pitch. I guess I'll show what some of those look like in the next episode. For now, I just want to get the walls framed up. So what I'm going to do is copy this plate, spin it around if I can get it to act right. It's going to go right up against that, and I'm going to tilt it at that angle, and then I'm going to run it down. Oops. People get mad at me for zooming like that, but sometimes I can't help it. Like that. You don't even have to cut that. It's going to be fine. Oh, I keep getting interrupted. Dang it. I know this video's probably turned out to be too long already, but I wanted to get the framing done just to, or at least enough to show Clint. But it's funny, while I was talking on the phone, I'll put these two braces up here just to show you that, you raise the front wall, raise the back wall, and you just brace them off, like that, just temporarily, so then you can come around here and do your end wall framing. These don't need to have double top plates on the end walls, so you can just have a top plate, and I would just stick build these. You don't need to build them on the floor, because after you get your rafters up, your rafter shows you what your pitch is. It's easy just to cut a 2x4. You don't even need to cut a pitch on it. I promise you, you can just cut it square like that. Life will go on. Nobody even know it. They'll know now. It's on the internet. Then you'll put yourself a top plate and a bottom plate like this. And then he wants a door back here like that. Our shed's going to be much better than this one. This is a noob shed, okay? We're talking, and I don't like this setup up here. It's kind of wanky. It's really strange looking, but I'm sure somebody tried. They did their best. But this is going to be a pro built shed. Now these studs obviously are all going to be different lengths, and I think what I'm going to do here is just make these. I'm going to explode this and then make it a group, and you'll see why right now, because I'm just going to click on these and I'm just going to run them up here and just show them. You can cut an angle on them if you want to. I wouldn't even worry about it. I'm telling you, this is a non-load bearing wall on this end. Your load bearing walls are here and back here. These are just walls you're going to frame up to feel good about yourself. You want to get this door off this corner. We always put 3. Well, we got our king stud. It's almost long enough, isn't it? And then you'll have your jack, which will hold up your header. And so that gives you enough room inside. It just gives you a nice little corner inside. So we'll make that 86'9". So really this one will be down here. This will be your jack height. Where'd my line go? Is that it? Yeah. There we go. We'll put us a header up there. I don't think this needs to be anything too substantial. 2 by 8, be good enough. Oops. Now, you probably want a 36-inch door here, since it's the only door, and you don't want to flirt with disasters, so you want to make this a 36-inch door, I think. So that would be 38 inches. Now you need to check that. Sometimes, like therma-true doors run a little bit bigger, so you need to check and see what door you're going to buy before you frame your rough openings. You always want to do that. 38. Let's see. So actually it would be 41-inch header. So it would be a 38-inch opening and a 41-inch header. Because on a 36-inch door, you just have to have a single jack. There we go. Get rid of that construction line. It's your header. And then you'll have another jack. And another stud. King stud. Like that. And then this will go up here. And again, if you're one of those anal people and you want to cut that little 1/4 inch slope on there, that's fine. But I promise you, it ain't gonna save the world. You ain't gonna be saving the world. You just ain't. You ain't gonna do it. Your shed seems to be wider. I think this shed's only 8 feet wide. Yeah. I think yours is 10 and this one's 8, which is going to be nice because you're going to have more space here. So do we put? So that means we could kind of do this in thirds, 8 3/8. So let's go this way. Let's just copy that, that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a group of this. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and spin her around. I feel like I talk too much when I'm recording. I know what you're saying. Yeah, you do. And what I could have done was just got rid of that one and put this one there. I just thought a little bit ahead of time. There we go. So that makes that 8 3/8, right? Or maybe not. No. Let's go 8 3/8. Well, it's basically right up against that. So I'm just going to say that's close enough. So you can just nail all that together. Okay, enough interruptions. But I have decided to recommend this layout here. Let's say I'm going to put my studs in. I'm not going to recommend any glass above the door or right here, just because I think it's an overkill. I mean, this isn't a greenhouse, it's an office, I mean, you can get kind of a bit wacky with the not careful. But if you want it, we can certainly draw it that way. Yeah, that means we'd only need one stud under here, one cripple. Oops, I didn't mean to copy that. I meant to move it. Like that. So we just make sure our layout is so we can start our OSB good, and then we'll have these little blocks appear. And we just have to, you just never know what you're doing. But you got to keep an eye on that stuff, right? Because you know you can mess up your whole drawing if you don't remember. You might turn around and find out you changed your whole scheme by editing a component. So that's that wall. That's what I'm going to suggest for the framing on that wall. I think that's a neat, simple. You got this corner that the windows match at the corner. That's nice. And then you got your door, and you got a little piece of wall here. You can put a piece of a bookshelf on, or return this. If you had an L-shaped desk, come over all the way to there. Gives you more wall space. Like I wouldn't move the window over and the door over just to make these equally spaced. I would leave this corner where the windows are the same distance off the corner, like that. And then for the other end, I think I'm just going to leave it like this for part one. And now that I've got those walls that they're not in the way, I can copy this out. 16. And these will be, I'll show you how these are going to be framed. I'm just running out of time here. I'll probably have enough time to show you. Well, here, yeah, I can just draw this quickly. What you'll do here is we'll just take a 2x8 and what size was that? 7 and 5, close. And I'll fix that. Bring it at 1.5 and go down a quarter. Go down to 16 because it was yeah, no big deal. So you have one there. Make that a group. Copy it down here, and then this would actually be dropped so that that point, I get control back over my computer, that point, so that when the decking comes down, this outer point hits. And it looks like you might have to rip it down just a little bit. No biggie. So we'll rip it down to where it's flush with the bottom of that, so it doesn't hang down like that. So that's going to be part one, and I'm going to leave this end braced up. It'll be just like this end without a door. But what I want to do is get past this concept of this elevation, this corner, and all that, and then I'll come back, and in the next video I will finish the framing and start to put the sheeting, the decking, all that, windows, doors, and all that. It's kind of cool. I think ours is definitely going to look better than this one. This one's starting to look more rural. The more I finish, get ours going here good, I'm going to be really happy about this. And we're going to put a metal roof on it, and It's gonna be good looking. So stay tuned.